Welcome, everyone, to another Jeff Herring webinar. This is Jeff, your host, and we're broadcasting live, as always, from our virtual studios here, about 45 miles north of Atlanta, Georgia. Far enough away to be away from the craziness, close enough to go see a good concert or game, and here in the foothills of the North Georgia mountains. And my partner today is Niall Nickel, and he will let you know where he's calling from as he says hello for a minute there, bud.
I am, and by the way, hello, Niall.
I knew you'd do that. This is a tradition. Niall and I have when I say hello, Niall, he goes, hello, Niall. Okay.
I am calling from the beautiful and sunny, wonderful Tampa Bay area of Florida.
It is a very sunny area, you know. There's just a lot of water to reflect things off over there. All right, so you guys are in for a treat with the incredible power of LinkedIn groups. 4 simple steps to more than you ever thought possible. Folks, what we're going to show you is ridiculously powerful and has accounted for 8,411, the last time I checked, new connections for me through LinkedIn groups. And we're going to tell you about how to do that in just a moment. Now, I want to give you the big picture of what we're talking about here, which is content marketing and the pieces of it. Content creation is where you unleash your content to make a difference in the world. Where we're focusing today is online visibility. And within online visibility, we're focusing in on LinkedIn. And within LinkedIn, we're focusing on LinkedIn groups. So we're going very, very micro today, and it's a testament to the phrase that small hinges swing big doors. And this is followed by traffic generation, which these two, traffic generation and list building, come out of what you're going to learn today, and then product creation as well. So if you're a beginner and you're joining us, let us know that in the Q&A. If this is the first time you've joined us, that'd be cool to know. If you've been doing this for a while, and yet you're not making the income you know you could, you are so in the right place. And, hey, Richard, first time from Utah, welcome. And if you're an expert looking for a powerful edge, boy, are you going to get one in this show. Now, here's what we're going to go over. We're going to do a little webinar wisdom. We're going to talk about the LinkedIn groups mindset, 3 LinkedIn groups blunders and what to do instead. Excuse me, the power of LinkedIn groups. And then we're going to dive into 4 simple steps about running and joining groups. And Niall is going to walk you through those 4 steps. So what's going to happen is for these first few, I'm going to be leading, Niall will jump in. And then for everything you see in purple there, Niall's going to be leading. And I'm going to be jumping in when I see fit. So Kevin's a beginner too? Good. Awesome. So little webinar wisdom. A quote from our friend Niall. LinkedIn groups is the #1 way to expand your reach and grow your list. Now, I would not have believed that if somebody told me that until I've learned some of these things from Niall, like you guys are about to. So here's the mindset you want to have for LinkedIn groups. Okay? Here's what it's not. It's not, hello, would you like to buy something from me right now, even though we just met? People barge into social media, and especially the groups of social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, and they come in with their guns blazing. Imagine being at a party, okay? And the moment you meet someone, they're trying to get you in their downline for Amway. Would that be a turn off or a turn on? Silly question, okay? Same thing with these groups that you join and become a part of. The first thing you want to do is, whoops, I went backwards. You want to give before you get. GBYG, give before you get, okay? And we're going to show you exactly how to do that. Now, here's, again, reiterating what we talked about. Blunder #1 is rush in selling. Instead, give before you get. Now, Niall will talk about that in the results now demo part. The fact that I've talked about it twice means it's huge. Kim's talking about so many networking people want that. Hello, would you buy something from me right now? Yeah, absolutely, Kim. That's what you do not want to do in a LinkedIn group or anywhere online. Blunder #2, join a group and then crickets. You join and you're never heard from again. Letter number 3, instead contribute. There is a way to get announcements about what's going on in each group on a regular basis so you can contribute, and it's just part of the schedule for my staff and I. Another mistake, the last one, create a group and then crickets, okay? You create a group, you're all gung-ho, people join it, and they never hear from you again as the leader or the moderator of that group. Not a good plan. What you want to do instead is lead that group. Start discussions. Be the leader. Now, here's just part of the power of LinkedIn groups. Now, you get to share content, both in your own group that you start and in the group you run. And it positions you as an expert. When you're the leader of a group, you're automatically positioned as an expert. Okay? If you've already got a name in your area and you join some of these groups, people will amazingly welcome you in. And if you're not a name, got good news for you. Come close to the speakers, okay? This is the way to get a name. This is a way to get a name and build your reputation and become known. Okay? And as I shared in the big sky view, it's a way to build your traffic and build your list community. 2 things you know I'm very big on. And so just a very, very incredibly powerful way to do this. So I got through that preliminary stuff pretty quickly because I wanted to get to Niall and the focus on these 4 things. And we're just going to take them step by step. And Niall, I can make you, you don't have the slides there, so it doesn't matter if I make you the presenter. So I will listen attentively and change slides as I think you need them. And if you need something that I'm not doing, just say, Jeff, move the slide, dang it. Okay?
It's a deal.
All righty. So, folks, you are about to hear from somebody who has been called the #1 LinkedIn expert in Seminole, Florida? No. In Florida? United States? No. In the world. So grab your writing utensils, your keyboards, whatever. Take good notes because you're about to get fantastic stuff. And I know you can live up to that intro now. I'll take it away, buddy.
Hey, and so that everybody could get this, and by the way, this is a tried and true formula. 4 simple steps. Now, there are obviously sub-steps beyond each one of these, but in very simple terms, what you're going to do is you're going to find, we probably should bold this at some point in time, the right groups. Because just participating in LinkedIn groups, and the reason that we're participating is you have to learn this group etiquette. How do the groups work? And the groups in different industries work differently. And here's a big secret about LinkedIn groups. There is no standard mode of operation. There's no operations manual. Every group is owned and managed by a different individual. The rules that they have in their group are based on what they want their group to be. So what you're going to find is you're going to find radically different styles of etiquette between different styles of groups. So what you want to do is you want to find the right groups. How do you find the right groups? The first thing you do is you look at the people that are your ideal clients. Can you identify 5 or 10 of your ideal clients? You like finding the right group there? By the way, that is the right group on LinkedIn. I love that one, Jeff. Obviously, I don't mean that one. But in order to find the right group, what you're going to do is you're going to identify your ideal clients. And you're going to examine their profiles. And as you examine their profiles, you're going to find out that most likely, if you've got 10 people that you've looked at, that there might be 1 or 2 groups that are common between them. And if your ideal clients hang out in those groups, then do you think it's likely that more clients just like them might do the same thing? You know the law of attraction, right, Jeff? You tuned out on me. The law of attraction is really...
I was on mute, but yes, I'm familiar with the law of attraction and the law of action within the law of attraction.
Okay, and so the law of attraction says like attracts like. So if you find a group where your ideal clients are hanging out, that group is attractive to more ideal clients just like the ones that you already know. So when you find those groups, you're able to find the etiquette in that group and so on and so forth, and you get an idea of what it might take to start a group just like those right groups that you're finding to identify, or better yet, create a magnet where your ideal clients might come. Step number 2 is after you've identified the right groups, what you want to do is, hey, look at this. I'm ready to move on too. So you found the right groups, you inspected the profile of your targeted prospects, and when you're looking at that, the size of the group matters. I left that one out. This is one of these cases where the old statement is size matters. So the bigger the group, the better the group is for you to join. Why? In simple terms, it's like you expanded your group by the size of the group you joined. So you expanded your personal connections, people you could communicate directly with, based on the size of the group you just joined. The next thing is how active is the group. So that's how you're sort of picking out the right groups. You use the LinkedIn group search function for that. You're able to step through those things very, very easily. So once you, I see somebody's talking about the law of attraction, about how the universe responds. I guess the law of attraction has many derivatives to it, but yeah, it talks about group vibration, or how people vibrate with each other and how they attract each other. But anyway, let's go to step 2. So now that you've found the right groups, you know what these groups are, you know what the etiquette of the group is and all of that. What you're going to do next in step 2 is you're going to create your own group. So Jeff, if you want to jump to, I think we've got a step 2 in the LinkedIn groups. I see the little spinner.
Do you want to do this, or you want to go to the next one?
Go to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And we could go back to that if people have asked questions about it. So, and somebody asked a question, and I'm going to answer it while I'm here because I like to do it rather than going back and just answering a bunch of questions. They said, how do you find out how active the group is? It's real easy. You look on the discussion wall, and you see if there's discussions from this week, or if the last discussion was 4 months ago, or better yet, a year ago. And by the way, you do find years where or groups where the last discussion was over a year ago. So, so that's a pretty easy thing to find. And obviously, the more discussions, the more recent, it tells you how active they are. The next thing is, after you've done that, you want to establish your own group. And I don't care if there are 100,000 groups just like yours, and there won't be. Your group's still going to be different. It's going to be unique. It's your group. So after you've found that niche where your ideal clients hang out, you start the group for that ideal niche. You find the right keyword-rich names because you're going to name your group. The next thing that you're going to do, and most people miss this, is you're going to see if there's a URL available, a domain name, that matches the name that you're trying to give the group in LinkedIn. Now, does anybody know, or can you guess why we might like to do that?
That's not a rhetorical, folks. If you've got a guess, put it in the Q&A.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what the guesses are. And while you're guessing why that is so critical, somebody asked about that spreadsheet that we just zoomed by, Jeff. So let's zoom back to that.
Zoom back. And come
That's
to
sort of
the
like
left.
Zumba, but without the sweat.
I thought you might say that. I knew one of us would. There you go.
So what this is this is how I evaluate how valuable groups are to me. By the way, there's still a question out there, guys. So
we got some answers to play with.
I see we got some answers to it, so that's good. So we'll look at that in just a minute. But what this is this is the way that I evaluate and I rank the value of my groups. I don't know if you know this. In fact, it'd be interesting. You know how many groups that you could be a member of? It's certainly more than one. I'll answer that when I see if there's any answers to that in the discussion here. But what I do is I rank the value of the groups that I'm in. And now, let me see, are any of these mine? None of these are my groups. These are all groups that I am a member of. So I rank the value of the groups a couple of ways. It is how many members are in the group. Now you notice this is an old worksheet. I just pulled one out to show you what it was. And I look at the number of first degree connections, people that I'm directly connected to in that group. And the second thing that I do is I look at how many second degree connections that I have in the group. And then I look at the percentages. What's my percentage of the total group that I'm connected to with first degree connections? The last column is actually a percentage column, and it's the growth potential represented, it's hard for me to say today, as a percentage that I have in the group. So if I look at this one particular group for my particular niche, telecom professionals, there's might as well say 15,000 members that were in there. I had 872 first level connections in that group. So obviously I had a huge amount of growth that I could attain there. And not only growth of people that I might connect with, but people that I could communicate with directly without having to pay LinkedIn extra money, which is always a good thing. So that's how that group ranked number one. It by far had the largest growth potential for me. If I look at the second group there, not exactly to my niche, but obviously because it's an executive suite, it's business owners and people that are major business influencers, there's a lot of growth potential there. So it's ranked on the growth potential that I have in the group. Hopefully that answers the spreadsheet question for you. So if we could jump back to the other one, and I want to see, hey, you know what? We've got a sophisticated group here because they all know that you could be in 50 groups. 50 groups plus subgroups, and lo and behold, it used to be a larger number. I see somebody say 59, and the 59 is an interesting answer because it used to be that you could be a member of 50 groups, but you could own 10 groups of your own. And if you own 10 groups of your own and were a member of 50 groups, you could actually own 60 groups. But LinkedIn just changed that recently, and now that 50 group limit is a hard limit, not only for groups you own, but for groups you're a member of. So back to the URL availability. They're talking about consistency, SEO, web search, squeeze page for upcoming events. That was an interesting answer from Flygirl there. To be able to move people from LinkedIn to your own list. Connie, you at least reading down the answers and the order they came in, you win the prize. Obviously, you have access to everybody that's in your LinkedIn group. You can communicate with them directly, no problems and all of that. but they're still on LinkedIn. You don't have them on your list. So you want to move them to your list. You want to, while you're growing the list there, you're attracting the list there, you want to build and grow your own list off of LinkedIn on the property that you actually own. So sort of a significant reason. So when you set up a group, because this is about establishing your own group, one of the things that I talk about is there's two ways to set it up, open versus closed. Now, if you set up an open group, the open group says anything that's posted in the group in the discussion is searchable by Google. Google will index it, and somebody could type in a search question on Google and it will point to your group. If it's a closed group, that doesn't happen. So this is going to be a bit of a trick question. I want to see if anybody gets why. I recommend one of these strongly over the other. And it's probably not what you might imagine. You have any guesses whether you should do an open group or a closed group based on the advantages there? Closed, closed, open, closed, closed for control. I like that. So we've got 4 closes and 1 open. I like this. Now maybe I set you up there pretty good, because what I have found works best to create the environment for you. Oh, now we're getting all these opens. So we've got about 50-50 in the group here. Here's what I recommend. If you want a group that you're not controlling the discussion, it is wide open. Anybody could join at any time. Yes, you could kick them out, but I don't know how many of you know this, but right now about 30% of the people on LinkedIn are spammers, and they are spamming in a big way. So when you've got an open group, you're contending with that all the time. If you set up a closed group, there's a few interesting things psychologically that go on. First off, it's an insider group. They have to ask to be in, or they have to be invited to be in. They have to be accepted. And if you control your group and monitor your group very well, they feel very safe and protected there, because it's specifically only available, and the only members are the people that are specifically in that niche. So I always recommend a closed group, always. If you want to have 2 groups and you want to do an open group and a closed group, great. But I found that you get better growth for your target niche, that's your ideal clients, in a closed group much more than you do in an open group. And yes, you lose that SEO power. But what you get is you get people that are in your niche, and when you create that safe environment, people will open up and share more, and you'll have better and more in-depth discussions related to your niche topic or topics. Because who's going to say that you only do one group? Now, by the way, if you set up a closed group, you have 4 autoresponders built in. First off is when somebody applies to be a member of your group, they get a message instantly that says whatever you'd like to say. Mine says something along the lines of, thanks for expressing interest in joining our group. Our group is a closed group for these reasons, and we only allow people in that have verifiable industry experience in their profile. Your profile will be manually reviewed, and if you have all of those people responding, or better yet, they've got that in their profile, you find it in their profile, they're feeling pretty selective and pretty impressed that you're limiting this to that. So the second auto response that comes back is, did they get in the group, or did they get rejected from the group? And if they got rejected from the group, why? You couldn't verify that they had the experience, and maybe if you made the wrong decision, they could write you back and tell you. And I have probably 1 out of 10 people that get rejected that write back, and when they write back, they say, this is the reason why I think I'm eligible. Will you reconsider? And the last one is where you could actually kick them out and ban them, and if you do, they get a message accordingly. When they get the welcome message, you also generally include the rules. And somebody says in the questions, and I like this question, so what are the relative advantages of being the king of a tiny anthill you now own? Good question, Kent. And here's the advantage. The advantage is this. One of the things, and we've always heard, what do we want most to our blog, our website, our LinkedIn group, or anything else? And most people, when I ask that question, nobody's jumping in with an answer there real quick. So if I build a website or I build a blog, what do you hear most that you want? Engagement. Somebody's heard some of our discussions before, Jeff. Targeted prospects. Man, we've got a smart group here. Loyal, stark raving fans who keep coming back. I love that answer, Lawrence. Well, one of the answers that most people frequently answer is you want traffic. So, and you want lots of traffic. The more traffic, the better, right? Bruins fans, I love that. So if we wanted lots of traffic, then guess what? We could get lots of traffic, but that traffic may not be interested at all in what we're trying to do, our message, what we're trying to ultimately sell. They just don't fit our group. It's easy to get traffic. And if you build your group to be a large group, it's a spam magnet. You're going to get a lot of people trying to talk to all of your people, and most of it's going to end up being spam. So it devalues your group. So if your group is smaller, but it is very niche, targeted, and focused, you're going to find out that you get a super responsive, engaged group. And you're going to build your status, your brand, and your position with the group accordingly along the way. So let me give you a case study from one of my own groups. The group that I target has, by best industry estimates, somewhere between 25 to 30,000 people in the market that I could really do business with. Now, the market itself is much bigger, but I'm really targeting the business owners of the businesses that I'm trying to do business with. And there's just not that many of them out there in the U.S. So I started a group. Now, granted, this group was started back in 2008. The group's been there for a while. But it has grown very consistently ever since then, to the point today that almost 7,000 people are in that group. And those people are all exactly my ideal targeted client profiles. So, if I look at, let's say that the group is really, 25,000 big, and my group is 7,000, I think that comes out to be something on the order of about 28% of the total market that's available is in my group. So can you do that? And the answer is absolutely, you could do that. And that's part of what we're teaching you. And by the way, that case study is my own, but I could give you the same type of case studies that we have been able to replicate time and time again in different industries that people have been interested in growing their list. And I think the biggest niche that I've had are people that are bankruptcy attorneys that primarily deal with bankruptcies that include IRS tax problems. That's a pretty niche list. And we've actually been able to help the owner of that list grow his group more quickly using LinkedIn than any other method he was using. And when I say more quickly, probably 10 times more quickly. So, Jeff, I think we've killed step 2. You ready to go to step 3? And I just mentioned all that. So, so after you've created...
Take it into step 3. There's so much in step 2 to get to, but we just can't do it in something this size. So dive into seeding your group.
Yep. So seeding your group. After you've created your group, you know, it's a group that nobody's going to find. Now, I can't say that because I've worked with people and we've created a private closed group, and I'm not exaggerating. Before we get done creating the initial setup of the group, the next thing we know, in less than like 10 or 15 minutes, with no seeding, with no marketing, with no advertising, the next thing you know, we've got people coming in saying, hey, can I join your group? That's not the typical thing. So when you have created your group, the next thing you want to do is seed your group. Now, what are we talking about seeding? We're talking about taking your valuable contacts, your ideal clients, and inviting them to join your group. By the same token, you want to invite specific targets to your group, people that you want in your group that you'd like to have as clients. You want to use social media to make people aware of your group. You want to do content sharing in public posts that reference your group and include link backs to your group. And you want to blog about your group on your own domain, your own URL that we discussed in step 2 above. So if your blog name and, or better yet, your LinkedIn group name and your blog name happen to match, then it makes it very easy for people to find your group on LinkedIn. Does that make sense? So somebody asked in here, how much time do you allocate daily to LinkedIn? And is this the primary source of my leads? It is the primary source of my leads. As a matter of fact, I probably get on average of 4 to 5 new leads from ideal clients a week. However, I'm a LinkedIn guru, and I do a lot to test on LinkedIn. So I have literally went from 0 time in my group, and I say 0 time, I have an admin assistant that reviews the invitations or people requesting to join. But I have went from 0 time in the group at various times to spending somewhere between, I don't think I've ever spent more than about 15 minutes a week in the group. You just don't have to spend much time in the group if you do it right, except when you first build the group and you first seed the group. Now you got to handhold people through. But within the first 30 days, after you've set your group up properly, you could literally step away and do nothing more than moderate or share the content that you want to share in the group, lead the discussion. And you could literally do that in 10 to 15 minutes a week without any problem whatsoever. So hopefully that answers the time question. So let's go to step 4. Now that we've found the right groups, we've developed our group, we've seeded the group, what do you think we have to do next? There was another one, there was a part 1 of step 4, Jeff. Did we skip 2 slides? Because the managing and maintaining your group had actually, well, whatever. There's another slide in between here, but that's fine. So to manage and maintain,
there is, and I will go find it.
That's okay. to manage and maintain your group, you're going to have to accept the posts that come in. And I say accept them. You're going to have to review to see that they match your criteria. After you've done that, you are going to have to, and I'm just going to jump down here because other things will come to my mind as I'm doing this. You're going to have to moderate the posts that people put up there. You're going to need to start leading the discussions. One of the things that you might want to do also is if you start to build your group up and it gets good traction, remember we're trying to tell you how to do this without spending a massive amount of time. Well, what's a good way to do that is invite guests to post there. Listen, I've got a group on LinkedIn that deals with X, Y, and Z. I would be very honored to have you supply a post to the group. Would you consider doing that? Now, real quick question. Do you know why you might want to take that strategy? And while you're answering that question, because there's a lot of psychology to that too, you want to do content sharing in that group. So you're going to look at the people that are trying to join the group. You're going to review their profiles. You're going to do some seeding discussions every so often. You're going to recategorize some of the profiles. If you know about LinkedIn groups, you have job categories on there, you've got promotional categories on there, and you've got your discussion. So list building from their list. Eric, good answer. Authority jacking, good answer. Guest post will monitor their responses. Great. The followers of guests will now follow you. Wow, so your list is going to grow more. Really good stuff here. All good answers. And yes, that's exactly why you want to do it. They're going to bring their visitors over to you. They're likely to share to their group the fact that they're doing a guest post. So good stuff. Jeff, we've kicked this one down the road too. You could post, somebody asked what type of content can you post in your group. Today you could post almost any type of content you'd like. We're not going to get into the, how you do all the different types of posts. We don't have time for it, but you could do everything from podcasts to videos to links back to your blog to rather long, lengthy posts on your in your group. Whatever you'd like.
So that takes care of Dean's question that you can do video.
Yep.
Awesome. So, excuse me.
I think that goes through the 4 steps. That might take it back to you, Jeff. I'm not sure.
Well, I think it back to both of us because what I want to do is backtrack a little bit and go all the way back to this page, okay? Because this gives us the overview, okay?
Okay.
So what's the number one takeaway from finding the right groups? You still there?
I thought you were asking the group. Forgive me.
Forgive me. Okay, well, you know what? That's a good idea. Because MJ's answering, knowing your ideal customer. I was asking Niall. Niall thought I was asking the group, and the group is answering. So I love this group. Okay?
Yeah,
and Hope says, get your own tribe. Yeah, absolutely. Let me go back up there. So this is working out quite well. Yeah, exactly, Hope. Exactly. Now I can take a beer break, says MJ. Don't give him that.
Thank you, MJ.
Okay, exactly. You establish authority, get your own tribe, you know your ideal customer, all good things. Now, what about?
And by the way, this is where you do your homework. You're going to find, and I guarantee you'll find this. I find this. You're going to find that the language that people are using in their discussions, the questions that they're asking, and what they're discussing are much different than what you would have ever thought about.
Right.
But when you're gonna start to notice themes, and you're gonna notice those themes are really critical and important to your ideal clients. And guess what? You weren't thinking about them. They weren't on your radar, but they're on your client's radar or your potential clients. So do you think that you might want to listen?
Absolutely. Now, um, here's a big question that goes to being in other groups. And, we talked in two different ways about not coming in with, your guns loaded and selling. Um, Now, let's say somebody's coming into a group and they're interacting and they're being part of it. How long or how much interaction should someone do before they say, hey, I've got this great teleseminar or a great webinar coming up, and invite people to attend? Not selling, just inviting them to an event.
Yeah, before I would do that. As a matter of fact, I don't know that I'd ever do that without the group owner's permission. And some group owners will be fine with that. I know in one particular group I have, if somebody approached me with that, I'd say, yeah, absolutely. Let's figure out how to do it. But most group owners are very, very, very protective of their group. It's their group. You're fishing in their pond. You're taking fish out of their special fishing hole. So what you want to do is you want to monitor the group, participate in the discussions, and then start soft pedaling. And what do I mean by soft pedaling? You might respond to a question, and you might say, I just did a post on that and it's here. Just something that's really light. And a lot of times, if you've been involved in the discussions, you've got to know them, you've been giving, you haven't just jumped in and started taking, you didn't just join the group 2 days ago, then everybody will be fine with that. In some groups, that even crosses the line. But let's say it's a really sensitive group and they're not going to let you do any of that. What's going to happen is when you give good content back, and this happens about 22 to 27% of the time. Figure out the math on that in the group. People are going to see what you're sharing and what you're posting in the other group, and you're giving value. They're going to look at your profile. They're going to look at the groups that you're in. They're going to look at the groups you own. And the next thing you know, they're joining your group and you never even invited them to. Long answer there, Jeff, but hopefully
no, it's a good answer, because that's why people need to be careful. Because as I understand it, you can come on too strong and people can, what is it? They can force you to have your post moderated.
Yeah, there's something that is called site-wide moderation. It's all the LinkedIn experts call it being swarmed. And if one group owner decides that the post that you're doing in his or her group isn't quite exactly what they'd like it to be, and they flag you for moderation, then you are flagged for moderation over every group that you're in or you may join on LinkedIn. And the only way to get out of that is to contact all of the owners for the groups you're in and ask them to pre-approve your post. And if you've been a member of the group for a while and all of that, they will, they'll take that restriction off of you. But you go join another group and you're automatically restricted. All of your posts require moderation. So you want to be careful about that.
So that is a good answer. Now, Hope is saying, this is great. It really helped me learn about this. Well, we're not done yet, Hope. Now, look what I found, Niall.
There you go. So, and
just to be thorough, especially since it's got a can of spam in the middle of it.
Yep. You want to create, in this group that you're managing and maintaining, you want to create the feeling of a safe and protected environment. I don't know how I could have forgot that, but I did. And you want to make sure that you control the discussion, that there isn't any spam. That's part of how you create that safe and protected environment. You want to make sure there's no unrelated posting going on. It may be somebody in the group, but the next thing you know, they're posting about their Amway party, as Jeff said earlier. Does it happen? Yes. And if somebody's clearly poaching in your group, then you absolutely want to moderate their post, give them a warning. If they continue to do that, then kick them out of the group. And then the next thing is heated discussions, and this might be a little bit interesting to a lot of you. You want to, you'd really like to encourage every discussion to be a heated discussion. Why? Well, you tend to get more conversation going on. The only thing that you want to moderate is you want to make sure that during that discussion, it doesn't get personal and it doesn't get ugly. If it does, you step in, you moderate. But otherwise, not only let that heated discussion go on, encourage it. If you could fan the flames, great. What is poaching, somebody asked. Poaching is when somebody's coming into your group and clearly from everything that they're posting and what they're doing, the only reason that they're there is to pull people from your group to their group or to another group. So
that's a good word for it too, the poaching, because Ken was mentioning earlier, he sees a lot of that in some of the groups he's in. That's all some people are on there for, right?
Well, it is. As I said, 30% of the people, at least that are on LinkedIn, are there for not so good, honest purposes. As a matter of fact, on my site, and we could always share it, to your group. I have no problem with that. I talk about identifying fake profiles. Why do you want to identify fake profiles? Because if somebody's got a fake profile, their intentions aren't altogether above board and honest. And you could really you could really identify the fake profiles pretty quickly. And I have a training on how to identify those. So we'll share that with you, Jeff, and get it in the group.
Okay. All right. So now let me get back to where we were. There we go. Wow, that was easier than I thought it was going to be.
Somebody asked a question about the other part of that discussion that was actually buried here. That was steps 6 through whatever it was, 9.
Right. You want me to go back to that?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
This will be available for replay, I assume. So.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And so, what's something about? I'm looking for a genius tip here for my community. What's something about either forming a group or being a part of a group that's just so obvious that people miss? I'll put you on the spot here.
I'm ready to answer.
Okay, go.
Well, the big thing that I find that people miss when they're ready to establish their group is they haven't went out and understood what their ideal clients are looking for. They haven't went out to find where most of their ideal clients hang out. And every time I do this with somebody, we always get surprised. So that's my biggie.
When you say you get surprised, what do you mean by surprised?
Well, because for example, if I'm talking to an insurance executive, they might say that all of my sales come from bankers, and so the people that I really want to deal with are bankers. And as we start looking at their ideal clients and we look at where their ideal clients are hanging out, while she might sell to banking, all of her banking clients that she sells to are hanging out in real estate groups because it happens to be where they make most of their money from. So if she really wants to have a group that resonates with her ideal clients, it might be real estate financing, real estate bankers, bankers for real estate. I'm just going off the top of my head here, but what she's going to do or he's going to do, they're going to find the group where their ideal clients hang out. And as I said, they would have jumped to automatically, well, it's bankers because that's who my ideal clients are. But when you look at where your ideal clients hang out, it's not where you would have focused your attention on your group.
Got it. And so, when you're looking for, I got two questions. How do you find these ideal people, and then what kind of questions do you need to ask yourself in order to know who they are?
I've got actually an ideal client survey that again, I'll be happy to share with the group, not a problem. But what I do is I try to identify at least 10, ideally 20 ideal clients that I have currently. And if I don't have that many, because I've worked with people that don't, I try to say, okay, let's find out who you believe would be your ideal client. And if we could get 10 of them, great. If we can't, we'll work with what we have. But what we're going to do, and the reason that we'd like at least that number of them, is we're going to go look at their LinkedIn profile. And we're going to go down to the section in their LinkedIn profile where it talks about the groups that they're a member of. And whether we make a physical note or we make a mental note, I mean, we're only going to look at maybe 10 to 20 of these people. We're going to then go to the second one and we're going to say, I see that these two people that are currently my ideal clients are both in this group over here. And the group's, somewhat related to the industry, directly or indirectly. The next thing you go is you go to the third client. They're not in any of those groups. You go to the fourth client. They're not in any of those groups. You go to the fifth client. Same group just popped up again. And you go to the sixth client. Same group just popped up again. Well, now you're saying there's a pattern here. At that point in time, I'd say this group, even if I haven't went through all my ideal clients, is a pretty important group to my ideal clients. Let me understand that group, what they're talking about, what their etiquette is. Who else is in that group? And what you're going to look at is you're going to go, wow, I just go to that group and I'm looking at that group. This group is my ideal clients. Well, guess what? If you join that group, you get to carry on a direct one-on-one discussion with them there. We haven't even talked about a strategy around that. But you're saying, okay, this is really a target-rich environment for me. This defines the type of group I want to set up. That's how you approach that, and that's how you identify it and what you do and all that.
Thank you for that answer. Now, folks, first question I have for you. Do you know more about LinkedIn groups than you did before this webinar started? Where, yay or nay in the Q&A? Okay, got some yeses, yays. Okay, good. Now we want to have a discussion with you. Okay, big yes from Ron. Thank you. Love all that. Now, we went over the 4 pieces and the 4 steps with you, and as now mentioned at the very beginning, there's much more underneath all of that. And we just want to have sort of an open discussion with you here about whether there's enough interest for Niall and I to put together a very reasonably priced resource to go deeper into all 4 of those steps. Okay? So first of all, what would you guys want to know? And that's not a rhetorical. Let us know in the Q&A. What would you guys want to know as you go deeper into LinkedIn groups? How to manage time, Connie says, or Georgia says. Connie says, how to get the members of the group to engage. That's a big one. What else? The survey for ideal clients. Yes, seeding, right group work, getting the people to engage is very important. How to transition to monetization. I like the way Carol phrased that. How to transition to monetization. I'll make some money with it. Tying it to Facebook and a blog from Doug, Heather. How to use my amazing headhunting talent and connector queen talents to make me money. Dang, Heather, I like that question. From Tom, newbies to LinkedIn need to know more of the basics. Yeah, the underpinnings. How to monetize. Yes, says Eric. Connie, how to transition to monetization. She loves the phrase too. How to get the members to not be all me, says Kim. Taking care of the daily, weekly group management stuff overall. Seeding and building the group. Awesome. So, Niall, as our resident LinkedIn expert, is that stuff we can do in a course?
Yeah, I don't see anything that's really out of bounds there at all.
Okay. How to find potential clients.
The only thing that I'll say to Heather is
Huh.
is headhunting talents on LinkedIn are pretty specific, and there's a lot of people that do it. So you'll get some general tips on this, but headhunting almost has its own set of rules, and you use LinkedIn a little bit different for headhunting. So that may be something we'd like to discuss separate, Heather, but will you get value out of what you're doing here? Yes, and as a matter of fact, you will probably learn some things that headhunters typically don't do at all, because they're about jumping in, making the kill, and exiting. And if you happen to take a little bit longer term approach there, I think you can make more money. So that would be the only one that I see is problematic.
And she's saying that connecting is her main thing. Good, good. Now see, Niall and I have been playing with the idea of doing a course around this because of some other stuff we've done and the interest involved. And a couple people 20 minutes ago, before we even talked about this, said, I'm in. And I sent them links and they're in. So, you know, it sounds like we've got enough interest, Niall. We're talking about calling it How to Profit with LinkedIn Groups. And there'll be a module for each one of those 4 steps. Now I just went over. It'll probably be a 5-module course, another module addition, maybe some you know, I don't know, architecture of LinkedIn, what they need to have to make their groups worthwhile, something like that. Any of you that you guys have been on a course with me know that there's always more than I say there's going to be, right? And Eric wants a bonus of participating in other groups profitably. Niall,
I like that. I like that.
That is at least a module title, if not
I like that a lot.
A course title, or maybe a book title. Heather says I speak really fast. Oh my goodness, I usually get accused of speaking slow. So now, because this is just in the preliminary stages of talking about with you guys, there is no web page to go to. I have a couple of links to show you here in a minute. If you're interested, we do know that this will start. Didn't we say this month now?
Yeah, we could start this month, absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm wrapping up a course next week. Everybody that's in the list building course. And so, you know, we're open to once a week or more than once a week, whatever. We're also very open to keeping this reasonable because those of you that come to NAMS, Niall and I are going to be doing trainings either before or after on this stuff, more intensive and more expensive than what we're about to present to you. So, and listen, you guys know this about me, and it's true about Niall too. We reward early adopters and fast action takers, okay? So, there's a couple of links for you to have a look at here. At jeffherring.com/LI3, you can come in for 3 payments of $77, okay? One now, one in a month, another in a month after that. Or if you want to save yourself $34, go to jeffherring.com/LI1. Whoops. See, this happens when I lean forward and my legs hit my keyboard. All right, there we go. Now, Niall, while I am typing these links into the chat so people can click right there instead of having to type them in, folks, what else would you like to see in a course like this? What else would you like to know from Niall is the question, really. And Niall, see what they say.
Yeah, I noticed, and Jeff, you and I haven't talked about this, but I know, and you might want to share this link too, because we did a course, and I think we shared this together. If we didn't, we can. Somebody says, that's great. Do you have any other training? I'm pretty new. And yeah, we run into that all the time. As a matter of fact, LinkedIn is absolutely positively the most powerful of all of the tools out there to be found on the internet. I don't mean just on LinkedIn. I mean to be found anywhere on the internet. And it is the most misunderstood, misused tool out there. So somebody saying, I don't know how to use LinkedIn well. And guess what? I hear that all the time. I start with some very basic stuff, but yes, I do some other training. Jeff and I could talk about how to offer that to you. But we have a course, and Jeff, I think you're an affiliate of this course, so we could share it up. But it's why your LinkedIn profile sucks and exactly what to do about it. That was given to me by some people that listened to it, and I love the title, so it got adopted. But what it does is it talks about where you start in LinkedIn and why. And interestingly enough, in going through how to set up your profile properly, we talk about identifying your ideal clients, what you're trying to do. So groups come into that a bit. We don't cover groups heavily in that, but also company pages come into that. We haven't talked about company pages on LinkedIn at all. And those are the three big areas of LinkedIn right now, other than the new content sharing area, which Jeff and I have talked a little bit about, but they're opening that up more and more to people. So those are sort of the areas of LinkedIn. I talk about all of it. We just have to figure out what's the best way to get you that information.
So part of the part of this will be an underpinning for LinkedIn. Now we do that in another course as well, and with the your LinkedIn profile sucks. And so yeah, we can do that. We can find a way to do that. This one is going to focus specifically on what I think is the most powerful part of LinkedIn, and that's doing these groups, doing your own and getting in these groups, and then how to leverage them. Now looking at that one spreadsheet you showed, I mean, you've got access to like what, 1 million people?
Oh, easily. Wow. Direct access, easily. Yeah. And of course, that's critical. And there's a lot of reasons to talk about that. We're running long here, so I'm not going to keep on rambling about it. But yes.
And you're gonna be able to leverage that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, LinkedIn is a tool, and like any other tool, it can be used or misused. If you misuse LinkedIn, you could spend a lot of time, become a professional guest, share all your information, and not make any money out of it. But by the same token, if you apply the tool properly, it could become so valuable to you that you start to protect that tool in a big way. And that's really what we want to teach you to do.
Absolutely. Now, congratulations to all the smart folks that have already come on board. Early adopters and fast action takers get massively rewarded by us. I'm going to leave this webinar up for about 15 minutes so you guys can get over there and fill out the stuff and come on board, and we'll be following up with you. Right now there's no members area that's yet to be created. Again, we're waiting on y'all's response, and we're perfectly willing to not do anything based on what y'all talked about. Dean's asking what's the difference between 1 and 3. At jeffherring.com/LI3, that's where you go for 3 payments of $77. Okay, if you want to come in at $77 and then make another one in a month, another one a month after that, that's fine. If you want to save $34 and just do it in one investment of only $197, that's at LI1, the one on the bottom. So those are the differences, Dean. And everybody else, Dean says, thanks. You're welcome, sir. You are a go-getter, and I appreciate you. So we're going to leave these up so you guys can come on board. And we look forward to putting the members area together, seeing you in there, and getting you guys going with this stuff. Niall, dude,
yes, sir.
I love it when somebody really knows their stuff. And you, sir, really know your stuff.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. I do appreciate that.
For showing up for our weekly Results Now webinar. Next week, folks, we're going to do a focus on traffic. which will also involve LinkedIn because of the traffic you get from what we've talked about. So any final words, Mr. Nickel?
Well, the final words is, whether you get involved in this course or not, if LinkedIn is not a critical and foundational part of what you're doing in your brand awareness, in your marketing, and in your list building, it needs to be. And whether you get it from us or you find somebody else that's able to give you the same training, you need to do this. And I can't urge you enough. I've found it's just so powerful. As I said, I haven't found a better tool anywhere on the internet to be used for those purposes than what LinkedIn could be used for. It's just, unfortunately, most people misuse it and misunderstand it, so it doesn't get used in a way that profits you. And that's really what we want to be able to help you do. By the way, I noticed that Hope typed in, by the way, she's getting a 404 error, which is it's not found, so there's something broken or something was typed in wrong. I don't know if
I love the internet because this stuff was working perfectly right before we went on.
Yeah, well, that's sometimes.
Okay, the LI3 worked just perfectly for me right now. Look at LI1.
She said she went to LI3.
Yeah, it worked fine for me, Heather.
You might just try a copy paste of it if you could copy it from screen.
And one's working for me too.
You've got that typed into the discussion, right?
Yeah, typed into the chat.
Yep.
And what we'll do is follow up. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to go to, Heather, is a PayPal page. Came up fine for Kim.
Cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys,
try typing it again because you can easily mess up. There it is right in front of you. Go back and check what you typed up. We'll be sending them out to follow up. And you were going to say now?
Yeah, I was going to say, as I said, if you're not getting it from here, you want to try to figure out how to do it on your own. Hey, jump in. The water is great, but it needs to be part of what you're doing.
And part of it is LinkedIn groups. And that's what we're going to do is a course on how to profit with LinkedIn groups. It's not about, how many likes you get or how many friends you get or blah, 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 blah. It's about profiting with LinkedIn groups. Right there on the screen are 2 ways to come on board. At jeffherring.com/LI and the digit 3. You can come on for 3 payments of $77 for the 5-module course. And if you go to jeffherring.com/LI1, you save $34 and come in for one investment of $197. And before we go off, congrats to Ann and whoever is behind Love and Light Energetics. I love that name. And everybody else that I haven't gotten to, congratulations. We'll be sending these links out to follow up in a little while to everybody that signed up. So if you're having trouble, these are working on our end. I will check them when this webinar is over, and be persistent.
Somebody also asked the question, Diana, how's this fit in with the content course that some people just went through with both you and I? And the content course is about creating the content and sharing it. The group is building your list and the audience to do a focus share too, if you will.
Let me, I'm going to answer that too, but in a different way. I want to go over and show people something. So let's see here. One of the things that we do, and we'll do for this course, is we'll have a separate Facebook page for it, private group where you guys can support each other, ask questions, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm bringing one of those over now. Wait a minute. I got to do that first. Because I want to show you something in partial answer to that question. Here it is. See if I can pull this off without blowing up the screen. Okay, so this is the private group for the LinkedIn content sharing course we did. Yeah, this is just posted by Niall yesterday. I was talking and reading at the same time. On our group, yet another article on LinkedIn and content marketing, how LinkedIn embraces the future of social in content marketing. So that's a big reason why we're doing this, because this is where LinkedIn is heading, and content creation, content marketing, and LinkedIn, I would say, is a match made in heaven. What do you say, Niall?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. LinkedIn is where you're able to take really and put all of the content marketing that you're doing to monetize and to business. In fact, not to disturb our process here, but LinkedIn has the highest dollar demographic, the best educated demographic, and a very focused business demographic. However, the only social media platform that's out there currently that is more responsive, that when you look at activity, revenue per activity, that is higher currently, and it's probably because they've got better statistics on it, because I personally think LinkedIn's higher, is Pinterest. And of course, we talked about some of that and what you could do with Pinterest in the course that you just shared the page for. But, some of that, even though we're focusing on LinkedIn and LinkedIn groups, will come into our discussion here, because there's some things that you're probably going to do when you share content in your LinkedIn group that you're probably going to share in places like Pinterest, for example, which sounds strange, but it's valuable.
Awesome, John. Hey, no apology necessary. I'm glad you came in. Thank you for identifying yourself, though. Dean, the answer to your question is a big yes. Heather, yeah, it is WordPress. If you're asking about my website, yeah.
we got people asking about the content course, Jeff, so you might have to put a link up for that too.
Yeah, we'll do that.
It's all up there.
I like what Kip's saying. So take that, Facebook. Thanks for hosting a message about the rosy future of Arrival. Yeah, well done, right? My phone's going ka-ching on silent here over and over. Appreciate everybody that's going on board. I'll do a quick follow-up to everybody that signed up and get you the links, and we can't wait to work with you. So, folks, thanks for spending time with us and invest in your most valuable asset, which is your time. And so invest another one of your assets into these courses and get yourself going on LinkedIn groups. And now people want to know how to find you.
They could find me on LinkedIn.
Besides coming down to Florida.
Yeah, Niall Nickel is a rather unique name. So LinkedIn, they could find me. They could find me on Facebook. My personal website is linkedinfocus.com. You could find me on all of those. Awesome.
So, and there is Vernice Flygirl. She is in. Welcome aboard. You're gonna love this. And so, folks. MJ, you can hear that in the background. That's Buddy, the big dog, laying over on the couch having a dream. He's chasing somebody. MJ says, hi, Buddy. The other two are out of the room because they were fighting earlier. So, except for Buddy dreaming over there, they were pretty good for this one. All right, so what I'm leading up to, folks, is like we always say, go use this stuff because it works, and we'll catch you next time.